Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1990 action classic, Days of Thunder, starring Tom Cruise, Robert Duvall, and Nicole Kidman. First of all, I hope you enjoyed our new intro. We'd like to thank JRS Video and Audio Remastering and Production for their creation of my intro and also the outro, which you'll see later. They are located in scenic West Virginia. So again, thank you very much to them and all their help. For those of you joining us for the first time, B Movie Club, it's like a book club, but no reading is required. Instead, what I'll do is each week I'll post online what movie we'll be doing. You can watch it and then send me your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, questions, comments, and anything else you want to get off your chest. You can go ahead and reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us the thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube, Kevin D, that's me. Hit subscribe. It's totally free. You can also go to our page on Twitter, at The B Movie Club. It's a totally new Twitter address, so there you go. You can tweet me directly, again, and I'm happy to respond, a little give and take, you know what I'm saying? So there you have it. Days of Thunder. In this movie, you've got Tim, played by Randy Quaid, who's kind of, he runs an auto dealership downtown in Charlotte, I guess. He wants to have his own race car for the Daytona 500, his own stock car. But he doesn't have a lot of money, you know, so he goes ahead and hires Harry, played by Robert Duvall, who's kind of the master car guy, pit chief. He's in charge of all the car stuff, but he's got a checkered past. There was some investigation. His last driver died under mysterious circumstances. So he hires him. He also has to bring in a totally unknown, untested driver named Cole Trickle, played by Tom Cruise. He's done some work on the West Coast and other things, but this is his first chance driving stock cars in NASCAR. So he meets him. He can see the talent is there, but you know, he's kind of a wild card. He's a loose cannon, if you will. So they start butting heads. Harry and Cole are like this. Eventually they reach an understanding and a respect. He's now starting to learn the craft of race car driving, which now makes him almost unbeatable. He starts winning races, but here's the problem. There's a fly in the ointment. There's another driver who's a little jealous of his success, a guy named Rowdy Burns, played by our favorite Michael Rooker. So they get into a little accident, boom. They both are whisked away, neurological issues, and here we meet the lovely Dr. Clara Lewicki, played by Nicole Kidman. She's in charge of their cases, but because of their violent stuff going on, not only is it a health issue for them not to race, but they're also just wild and reckless. So they're kind of put on the blacklist for a while until they can be reevaluated and just prove that they're not crazy, going to crash into each other all the time. Eventually, Tom Cruise starts. He discovers that he's able to drive. He's going to be fine. But while he's recovering, Tim and Harry have to use a new driver for the car. So they bring in another young upstart, Russ Wheeler, played by Cary Elwes. And now there's some friction between them. While him and Cole and Rowdy start getting together. Cole and Russ, now there's a problem there. Okay. Michael Rooker, Rowdy Burns, sadly, they discover he's got neurological damage and he shouldn't race anymore. But he's got a family to think about, so he asks Tom Cruise to go ahead and race his car for him. If he comes in the top 3, then something happens, his family will be provided for. So even though he's kind of afraid, he's not sure he can do it, is he going to crash, is he going to die? I don't want to spoil everything. But let's just say it's Tom Cruise. You know it's going to work out just fine. Right? So, Days of Thunder, what can I tell you about this movie? Anybody who's seen Days of Thunder knows that it's basically a carbon copy of Top Gun. In fact, when it came out, the critics called it Top Gun on wheels, Top Gun on a race car. Roger Ebert actually wrote a long dissertation about all the parallels between this. How there's the young hotshot, there's the older mentor, there's the female mentor who's usually taller than Tom Cruise. Yes, who isn't, right? There's the initial villain who eventually becomes his friendly rival, and then there's a main villain that appears towards the end of the movie. A lot of the same things that occur in this. Tony Scott, after his death, they talked about how Crimson Tide may have been his best film, but that really Days of Thunder was his most important film. I'm not sure what that means, but hey, that's good. There's literally a laundry list of actresses who turned down the part of Claire Lewicki, the doctor, before it actually went to Nicole Kidman. I don't want to mess this up. There's literally 100 different names. Let me see if I can find it. I know one of the people who actually they initially wanted was going to be Robin Wright, who was in Princess Bride with Carrie Elways. So there you go. Other people, Sarah Jessica Parker turned it down. Molly Ringwald, Julie Roberts, Meg Ryan, Brooke Shields, Sharon Stone, Heather Locklear, Sandra Bullock, Jodie Foster, Ali Sheedy, all turned it down. Okay? Very sad. Eventually, Tom Cruise had just seen this movie Dead Calm that had come out a few years prior, starring unknown Australian actress Nicole Kidman. He was smitten, so she became cast in this role, and of course then they had that, they actually got together in real life, were married for many years. Although it's kind of off-putting watching this. There's the scene where she's given him the physical, and he kind of kisses her, and she just kind of walks off. And he's so upset, and he's like, I can't believe you ignored me. And then she attacks him, literally like, I wasn't ignoring you, and throws him up against the wall. She is so much taller than him, and her wild, curly red hair is flowing. It literally looks like Tom Cruise is being attacked by a Wookiee. It is ridiculous. Nicole Kidman, circa Days of Thunder, not really my cup of tea. I don't know. She became much more attractive, in my opinion, in the 90s, later in life, but the crazy, her crazy look at the time wasn't doing it for me. Robert Duvall, of course, is in this. We remember him. He played Harry. He's been in a ton of stuff. Obviously, he was in the Godfather movies. He's still making movies. If Nicolas Cage has a new movie, Robert Duvall's probably in it. I love Robert Duvall. Even in movies such as this, you can't beat that. Another thing I found interesting, John C. Reilly plays Buck Brotherton, who also works in the pit for Cole's car. Evidently, Talladega Nights is nothing but a sequel to Days of Thunder because John C. Reilly, also in that movie, also playing a very similar character. So, what can I tell you? It's all interconnected. It all comes together. Watch this movie. I don't know why it's called Days of Thunder. I have no idea. Is it just very noisy? I mean, that's what it comes down to? When, you're on the racetrack, it's noisy, so it's thunderous? Or is it like, it's like lightning? They're fast like lightning, but wouldn't it be Days of Lightning? I don't know. I can't explain it. Originally, this idea, I think at one point came from Tom Cruise himself. Like at this point in his life, he became more into like auto racing. In fact, he wanted to do all of his own racing, but insurance wouldn't let him do that. At one point, they were literally writing the script as they were filming. So he was trying to drive at one point, and he had his lines kind of taped up on the windshield of his car. Okay, this wasn't on the racetrack. This was just kind of, but he was still kind of doing a little bit of driving, and they had to stop doing that because he was crashing because he's trying to read his lines while he's operating the car. Not the best thing in the world, if you ask me. Eventually, they had to put an ear thing, like an earplug. I'm not an earplug. I don't know, earpiece, something like that, to feed him his lines as he's doing this. So there you go. A lot of the plot lines from this movie came from actual events that occurred in racing, but it's not a true, based on true events kind of thing, if you know what I'm saying. Cole Trickle, who Tom Cruise's character's name, actually takes the name from another auto racer whose name, this is not a joke, his name is Dick Trickle. That's an unfortunate name if I've ever heard one. Very sad. So, I enjoy Days of Thunder. It's kind of that meaningless 80s action stuff. But if you do watch Top Gun and then watch Days of Thunder, it is literally like the same movie. Hey, what's wrong with that? Can't go wrong. Currently, it has a 40% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. I find that a travesty. It's fun. It does the job. Tom Cruise at his finest. Robert Duvall. You can't go wrong. Okay? It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it if you have not yet. Although, have you been living in a cave? Come on. Next week, I'm going to go back to the horror genre. Next week, we're going to be doing Fright Night, starring Roddy McDowall, Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Bears. It's an all-star cast, okay? We'll also be having a special guest co-host. My sister Erin should be joining us next week, so get ready for that. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. No, he didn't slam you, he didn't bump you, he didn't nudge you, he rubbed you, and rubbing, son, is racing. So there you have it. That's my crazy Robert Duvall doing a crazy southern accent. Can't beat it. So there you have it. Thank you again for joining us. Next week, Fright Night, streaming instantly on Netflix. Be well.